Now let's talk about working with attachments. Notice this particular email has an Excel attachment on it. And I could, once again, work with it in my reading pane, but I'm going to go ahead and open that just because I like to read this in a separate window. When someone sends you an attachment, you've got a number of options. One thing you could do is single-click to select it, and it will actually preview, if possible, right here in the message window. You can also click the drop-down arrow next to an attachment and open it, in this case in Microsoft Excel, or save it to, let's say, your desktop or your Documents folder or wherever you want to keep it. I'm going to try opening it. By the way, I could also double-click it to open it. And while it does open in Microsoft Excel, please note that this file is set to read only. Right now it's actually stored in my temp folder somewhere, so if I wanted to save it somewhere else, I would have to use the save as command, for example, to put it somewhere else. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and instead I'm going to save it, and I'm going to, oh, by the way, notice I could save all my attachments too if I had multiple attachments, but there's just the one, so I'll click Save As. And by default, it does want to put it in my Documents folder, and that works for me, so I'll click Save. Now, if I go to my Documents folder, I can then double-click it whenever I want to and work on it or read it or print it as needed. By the way, please note that depending on your security settings, you may not actually be able to edit it right away. There may be a button that appears at the top where you have to click that to begin editing the document. But in this case, I can just go ahead and get started. So I'll go ahead and close that. And I'll close my Documents folder here. And I'll close the email. What about sending an attachment? James gave this to me. Maybe I think Lillian and Will should see it. Well, I'll go ahead and click New Email. And I'll put on the subject line Project Status Report. And I'll even tell them who it came from. And I'll say, hello, here is the Project Status Report from Jim. There we go. Now here's the catch. You have to remember to actually attach the file. That's one thing I always seem to forget. So I'll go to Attach File here on my Message tab. And because I have used it recently, it's right there in my recent items. If it were not, then I'd have to browse to locate it. And of course, it's in my Documents folder, so it's right there. And I'll just double-click it to attach it. It's that simple. At that point, I'll address it, and I'll just use my recent list here and click Send. On the other hand, I'll double-click it to open it up. If I were to click Reply, please note that the message, or rather the document, is not automatically attached. The idea being, well, if you're replying to it, then that person already must have that file. So if for some reason that person lost the file, you have to use the forward command or compose a new email to get it back to them.